Series here at Monza. I am Cypher Knight 77.
And I am Kieran McGinley at Monza here. It's a great track, the Temple of Speed they call it. I'm looking forward to this one, Cypher, and a track that really does prioritise top speed. Should be an interesting one to see who can come out on top.
Indeed, we're going to see the greatest GT4 drivers Gavra has to offer, put it all on the line in and like you said, a speed fest here. Very little downforce required, but hopefully that doesn't stop these drivers from experimenting a little bit. We got an interesting lineup for tonight's race here at Monza.
Quite a few driver changes for tonight, Cypher. I don't know if you would just want to take us through them all, but there's two significant absentees from tonight.
Indeed, your points leader Javier as well as his teammate GTS are not here tonight at Monza. Instead, they will be replaced by two actual replacements, one in the form of Faster, who did race at the Silverstone circuit, and the other one in the form of Becerra, who will be piloting the second yellow and red Aston Martin here as well. In terms of some other replacements, Slim Sign, we know, is also not here, and instead he also has a replacement in Nguyen's, if I'm saying it correctly.
He's in the pit lane at the moment, but Nguyen's, I would say. Hopefully we do pronounce that name right. If you don't, let us know in the comments. We'll try and prove it.
So to follow up from the headlines from Osher Schleben, the last week's winner Bowie is also here today to pick up even more points for that orange KTM outfit. Him and Ryan actually making very stellar comebacks after starting, or pretty much not qualifying actually, and yet somehow they were able to grab some of the top spots. Like we said, Javier and GTS aren't here today, but one man who is here today is Red, and once again this will be his chance to pick up some of the best points in the championship so far over Javier. As it stands though, the championship looks pretty far out of reach, roughly around 90 points from Javier and Red. So we'll see just how fast he can actually go here at Monza. So you probably know this track better than I do, so why don't you give the overall basis of it?
With pleasure. We'll jump on board with Red then as he makes his way down the straight then, and the first heavy braking zone is of course the Retafilio chicane. We go past the podium on the right hand side as Red makes his way now towards that start finish line, quite a way down the start finish line. There's that line that starts your lap then, heavy braking zone here into the slow right left. Well, the first corner here is going to be a little bit interesting, that's for sure. You can just about get too wide here, but let's see what we'll do in the race as we head now through turn 3, through the Curva Grande. You can see there, that slight banking towards the right hand side helps you turn the car, and that means it can be a little bit easier on the tyres then as we make our way up towards the Roger chicane. As you can see, spot your braking point, be careful not to get on the grass, and, use that curve there as well on the outside to help you turn in. You can see that really smooth end from Red, avoiding that sleeping policeman on the inside. As we head up now to the first Lesmo, long right-hander, very easy to overdrive this corner as Red has done exactly that. It's very misleading to try and carry too much speed into there. Into the second Lesmo now, be careful of picking up too much of that curve on the right-hand side. It can unsettle the car. And now we come down the Curva del Serrallo as we now build up the speed, go down the hill, then under the old circuit, the old oval circuit there, as you then make your way up towards the Ascari chicane, this left-right left here. We slow it all the way down to just under 80 miles an hour now. As we now build up the speed through the right hand and then through the left hand. You can use a little bit of runoff there on the right hand side to help build the speed as you now come towards the final corner now. As you're now going through the gears and picking up that speed all the way towards the Parabolica corner. Great opportunity here to try and go side by side through this corner if you're brave enough. Again, that banking there helping you turn in the car so you can carry a little bit more speed through there then. As you now build up the revs, build up the speed and go through the gears as you head towards that start finish line once again with the podium on the right hand side. What can Red do? as his first lap around the circuit then in the Porsche with top speed a priority, and it's second place. It's just under a tenth slower than Buzzing Hornet. So from the Porsche then, that's a bit of a surprise considering that they have one of the better engines of the grid.
Yes, but Buzzing Hornet, who was actually here at Algarve, he's been able to show some pretty impressive speed for the Ginetta outfit, and right now he currently sits at the top of the practice standings. So it'll be interesting considering a lot of new faces here that'll be taking to this track, as well as obviously the veterans of this series so far. But as it stands, it is currently Hornet Red and then Beccaratis Red's teammate, and then we got the two red Aston Martins behind them. So it's maybe looking a little bit like a Aston Martin upset here, maybe.
Well, we have seen the Aston Martins before. You know, they've surprised us with Javier really leading the field. 98 points, by the way, is his gap over second place, so he really has been in firm control of the season. And Becerra there, 157.3. It looks like he's picked up Javier's car there, because he's 8 tenths quicker than Beccaratis.
Indeed, pretty much anyone who steps into this outfit is immediately fast right up the get-go, and as he goes even faster, 5 tenths up. It'll be interesting to see, though, a much more closely contested grid, at least for the top 5. Joe currently sitting in 6th place as a sort of best of the others who have yet to make representative times. But Red bumped down to 4th now, as the start-finish straight is actually a little further up around here. Can he improve his time? It's a whole second up, and he does go fastest with a 1:56.8. Fastest of anyone so far. Schwami also had a pretty decent effort at Oschersleben. Maybe he can also improve here with the absence of some regulars.
Of course, with 15 cars on the grid then, you've got Noyens there in the Ginetta, into the KTM, making his way towards the start-finish line. Is this a flying lap? It was. It's 1:59.8 from Noyens. So in that KTM there, they'll be looking to try and extract all that pace out of that car, which has historically in this championship been much of a car that prefers the corners rather than the straights.
What interesting me though is kind of interesting to see just how much top speed these guys are willing to run in exchange for that downforce. It may seem like a very simple track, but it's quite a deceiving one when it comes to how much downforce a car really needs around, especially some of these sweeping corners like this. As we see Bowie, last week's winner, kind of take a very aggressive line over the curbs. It can really mess up a car hitting the curbs at the wrong angle. We've seen cars get relatively airborne by hitting some of the sleeping policeman curbs around here, but we'll see actually.
See that banking through the Lesmers, which can really help the car. You see there Barry getting slightly onto the grass. That can really unsettle the car then, as we make our way now down towards the Ascari chicane underneath that bridge then. And you go up sort of crest here towards the braking zone, and see that Aston Martin right behind Barry there, giving him the hurry up almost. Bowie making his way through the third part of Ascari, and now all the way up towards Parabolic. He's half a second quicker than his best, but that's still a low 1:59 at the moment. So he's got a bit more time to find out of that KTM, but something that's going to be struggling with that KTM is the top speed. You can see there as we make our way down towards Parabolic. I couldn't quite see his top speed there because the checkered flag is out. But Bowie now building up the revs, going through the gears, and now making his way towards the start-finish line. Will he complete this lap? He will. He'll stay out. You've got that Aston Martin there, right behind him, taking advantage of that slipstream. What can Barry do then as they head towards the line? The Aston Martin, I believe.
Yeah, that was faster. Actually, that was faster behind him, who went 3rd. And Bowie unable to go that much faster, actually.
There's Adam Croker, 9th place in this practice session, 159.8. And we've got Becca Ratters there, who is now coming towards the start finish line in that Porsche. And you would think maybe with a Porsche engine, he might be able to extract a little bit more top speed. There's a 157.7 from Becca Ratters. That means there's only one person left to finish and take the checkered flag, and that is going to be Crazer as he makes his way around Parabolica. 158.1 from him right now, as he now makes his way through the final part of Parabolica on towards the start finish straight. Can he go quicker than his 158.1 as he makes his way towards that start finish line? Should be able to find out in a short while, and no, he can't. So he stays in 6th place for this practice session. So Red tops the practice then, the only person in practice to go into the 156s.
Indeed, a very closely contested practice session. You see Red being followed closely by the 2 yellow and red Aston Martins behind him, as well as his teammate Becca Ratters completing 4th, and then Buzzing Hornet in the top 5. A very interesting practice, but yet qualifying is still to come, and that is where these drivers will get their official positions. So heading into qualifying, who do you think's got the decent chance here?
Well, obviously, if you're driving a Porsche, you've got a good chance. You know, we know how quick they are in a straight line. But what I'm worried about are the KTMs. We know that they're not. Their weak point does seem to be the straights here. Their strength seems to be handling and carrying more speed through the corners than most. And it seems like maybe through the Lesmos and probably through Ascari and Parabolica is a good chance for them to close and cars ahead. But the length of these straights, the KTMs are really going to struggle here. They're going to have to work really hard on the setup if they're going to want to get some positions up here, as Noyens, I believe, is the first person out on track here in qualifying. He is in a KTM as he makes his way towards the Curva Grande.
So yes, obviously we saw last week Oschersleben being one of these KTM's best tracks, actually, as they took most of the top positions. Here might actually be their worst track, considering top speed wise. They're roughly around 8 to 10 miles per hour slower than some of these other GT4 cars. However, it's important not to count them out too much, considering, like I said, Monza isn't all top speed. You do need a little bit of downforce somewhere to kind of keep up, especially in, like you said, Ascari. So we might see some surprise performances from these guys. They know these cars better than we do, as there's a huge gaggle just going into the Lesmos right now. I believe that's Joe as well as Bowie and Beccarat is all in this sort of group here. They're just trying to gain space to kind of see, but we also will probably see these guys slipstreaming off one another, which will also be very important, who can get the draft there.
Here's Barry had a little bit of a moment there coming out of the second Lesmo, really onto the grass, gave the wall a bit of a love tap, but he seems to have recovered, and that's the last thing you want around Monza, is any aero damage, anything that can slow the car down in the slightest, and that's your lap pretty much gone. But as we now make our way, watching Barry then heading up towards Parabolica, we'll jump back on board with someone who's about to start their lap. It's Noyens here in the KTM as he makes his run down towards the start-finish line. Then you see we're looking at the 156s, possibly the 155s, as we make our way now down towards turn 1 then with Noyens. He's got to pick his braking spot there as we make our way in towards the Rettifilio chicane. Very tight there. Watch out for the first lap of the race. The cars have got to give each other plenty of space out there, otherwise they risk the contact and possibly spinning out then. It's very narrow on that first lap, so you've got to give that respect to the other drivers. Here's Noyens then heading through turn 3, the Curva Grande, as we make our way now up towards the Roger chicane of turns 4 and 5. You can carry a little bit more speed in here than you realise, but careful not to overdrive the corner. That gravel trap is very close to the exit of turn number 5 as we head now towards the first lesson. I said in practice, very easy to overdrive this corner. You can see there Noyens for the very first part of that seemed like he was understeering, but the car just gripped in the end as we head towards the second Lesmo, and you can use a little bit of that curve on the exit then as we now run towards the curve at Del Seraglio. And of course you go underneath that old oval very, very steep banking there, and all disused and overgrown now, where the grass has grown and the cracks on the track. Very, very unlikely that track will ever be used again as we now head through Ascari with Noyens here. Third part of Ascari now to turn 10. And that will really, really attack that corner as now he heads all the way up towards Parabolica. It seems like a long, long way in these GT4 cars. It gives you time to think about your braking zone. As you can see in the KTM there, what's the top speed before the braking zone? It's just a wow, 139 mph as we head through the Parabolica. You can see, I think how much that KTM is actually understeering here, but it looks like it's got good grip out there, so that's a bit misleading. As Noyens then will set the pace then as the first lap in this qualifying session. As he makes his way towards the start-finish line again, it's quite a way down, and what's the lap time going to be? 159.7 there from Noyens. And he'll be hoping he'll get a little bit more out of that KTM. Joe Black then beats him, 159.5, but as we've already seen, it is possible to go quicker than that, as Red has quite clearly shown 156.0 in the Porsche, fastest lap we have seen so far. So he's made his intentions clear. Becaratis there, who's, as we saw in the very early part of his outlap, has made contact with the wall or another driver. And with that damaged car, he still managed a 158.2.
So yes, to follow up, we do have some confirmation on Alids and Ryan Ruby, who do have qualifying penalties for this race, so they will be starting near the back of this field, which Ryan has done so for the past 2 races. Alids will be the first time starting at the back, so some penalties dealt there. But Faster, who had disconnected, he'll be back to hopefully set in another time as Adam goes across 3rd place right now. We saw him up here at Silverstone, so maybe this can be a resurgence from Adam in the top 5. Bowie also coming across the final turn now to set his first lap. As he comes across the line right now, is he going to be able to take the fight to Red? It is only 9th with a 2:04, so he probably made a mistake that lap. So as it stands, the first set of laps is Red, Becaratis, and then Adam, with Joe Black impressive 4th behind him, and then Noyens in 5th right there. So we haven't seen the... well, we know Faster disconnected, but Becerra, we know he's currently 8th, and he's in that Aston Martin, so there's plenty of time still left to find by all of these drivers here. Of course, here at Monza, it only takes the slightest bit of time to gain and slightest bit of time to lose around here.
Absolutely. Here comes Red then, coming down towards turn 1. Yes, he's got the slipstream of the Ginetta, but towards that braking zone, 159. And you can, as you were saying, Cypher, earlier on, that the KTMs are lacking that sort of 8 or 10 mph down these straights, and that's so crucial around a track like Monza.
Indeed, here comes Faster right now to start a new lap after just coming back. So we'll be able to see exactly where he stands. He's almost had the pole if it wasn't for his disconnections at Silverstone. He only had to settle for 2nd. So can this be Faster's redemption here to actually qualify well and finish the race here at Monza? As he comes across a little bit loose there on the final turn. Definitely not as stable as some of the KTMs though, but as he comes across the line right now to set his first representative time, it will be... oh, now he's going to start his time. Excuse me for hyping it up.
Well, you know what? I've done that so many times. It gets easy to spot who's on a lap and who's on a flying lap. But yeah, Faster now on a flying lap. We've got All-Star, who's been struggling with internet connections all night so far. We'll be hoping that we can dig it all together to set a flying lap. As you can see the Ginetta then making his way now down towards Ascari, 138, 139 before the braking zone. And the Ginettas as well we'll have to check on the run up towards Parabolica. Obviously low 150s mph for the Porsche. Let's see how the Ginetta does as he heads towards Parabolica. Watch that speedo on the right hand side of your screen, and as the Ginetta heads up towards the entry of Parabolica as he heads towards it now. It's 142. The Ginettas here are quite slow in a straight line, whether that's setup, whether that's the engine. They're going to struggle as well to get a good position here.
The Ginettas are only slightly faster in a straight line compared to the KTMs. In actually some occasions, KTMs have been able to beat the Ginettas in terms of outright top speed. But right now, Becerra actually in 4th place in the first outing of that Aston Martin, so good on him right now. So you have a whole group of cars right there. I think that's Schwami giving up the place to start his flying lap, as that I believe is Crazy right there, also coming across to set a new representative time. I believe he was in the slipstream of somebody. He decides to abandon his lap and go down the pits actually. Very interesting there. Schwami now going to start his lap. As Faster, Faster does in fact go, as his name implies, as he goes second right now with the 157.1. Still a second behind Red, but he is best of the rest so far.
And still has just over 5 minutes to go, and so Red currently on pole position with a 156.0, and he might even have the slipstream of the Ginetta ahead of him. That might benefit him, that might actually compromise him, especially through the high-speed sections as we head now towards Ascari. Depending on where the Ginetta places his car, depending if the Ginetta is actually on a flying lap as well. If he's on a flying lap, there's no reason for him to give up the spot then as we head through Ascari now. He's got that middle section all wrong, and he'll pull to one side. We'll hear they're going to run side by side all the way up, and yes, the Ginetta does pull to one side as Red now heads up towards Parabolica. Now, whether this is a flying lap or not is yet to be seen, but he is heading now towards Parabolica into that fast right-hander. That banking can help you carry a little bit more speed through the corner then. As you can see, running all the way to the outside without going onto that green there as we head towards the start-finish line with Red. Can he go even quicker? Or is this just a lap to start flying lap? We'll find out very shortly as we head towards the line. It was an out lap, because you can't be 8 seconds off the pace, surely. Interesting though, he's got 14 litres of fuel in the car. That's quite a bit, so maybe he's just aiming to just keep running in this section until the end.
Indeed, sometimes the strategy is to kind of just build up momentum, as Nguyen's a little bit on the grass there. Actually noticed Bowie, who got up to 7th, although has been knocked down to 8th by Adam. So Bowie, last week's winner, kind of feeling the effects, although Nguyen's is currently 6th in the best of the KTM so far. So Bowie definitely looking for some more speed here. Meanwhile, we have most of the drivers actually on the track right now. However, pretty much Red is the only one who is able to break into the 156. However, with 3 minutes to go, we might start to see some of these drivers pull out their best times. Here's Hornet, currently sitting in 4th place. Can he improve on his time as it stands? Not quite, so he'll be on his outlap right now. He'll be out on his outlap right now.
I have to say, I'm impressed with Buzz and Hornet though, because obviously we've been talking about how the Ginettas here are not quite designed for top speed, and actually he's pulling 149 as we headed towards the braking zone. Still, that's 5 or 6 down on the Porsches here, but he's up in 4th place at the moment, 157.6. Don't write him off yet for that front row start.
Indeed, Hornet, he was able to get a pretty high starting grid at Algarve, just unfortunate it didn't finish that way for him. Well, currently sits 4 tenths up as we go into the first Lesmo. Has to brake pretty hard down to 3rd gear, although he takes the corner really nicely as Red goes and sets the first time in the 155, so 155.9. As that's a KTM off in front of him. That might be Bowie, or not. Yeah, that was Bowie actually, who went off right in front of Hornet. So unfortunate for him, that might be the last chance Bowie gets, as he currently sits 7th. Schwami will move over for him, so he's going to be starting his lap next time by. But as it stands, Hornet taking it pretty conservatively into some of these corners. He's not pushed like some of these other guys have. He's currently only sitting about 3/10 up, but he needs to find a little bit more time if he ever wants to displace faster, as Bekaratis actually goes second now and calls it quits with the 157 flat, so still only a second down on red. Meanwhile, Hornet, he's currently still up on his time, coming across the start-finish line, coming up to the start-finish line. Where can he get? He comes across the line now. Likely only be a couple of tenths, yeah, just around a couple of tenths, although it looks like he will go around for one more lap. It's the final minute. Schwami also decides to start his lap. Becerra with a huge amount of damage, although considerably still in 5th place right now. Also coming across the line to start a new flying lap as well. This is crazy coming through Parabolica right now. Currently sitting 11th place, much farther down than I'm sure he's very much used to. Although this could be a blessing for him, considering he's been involved in pretty much most of the major first turn incidents. So starting in the back might not be bad for him, although he's going to try his best. He comes across the line about now. Can Crazy improve his starting position? He proves it by a second, but it's good for 5th actually, so not bad from him. Displaces Joe and Schwami down to 11th, and Schwami unfortunately is not able to improve his lap, so he will start very far down the field. It is now left to Faster to try to displace the 2 Porsches as he comes through Parabolica right now. Although he's very slow, so I suspect he is on an abandoned lap. It's only going about half throttle, so yeah, Faster abandoning that lap pretty early. Meanwhile, Nguyen's coming through the Lesmos as well as Bowie. Ooh, that might be All-Star actually sliding into the Ascari actually, so that might be a lap disallowed from them. Meanwhile, Bowie, I think he tried to get back out, but I don't think it's enough time to actually set a new lap. So this might be all for naught. So Max Bleat, seemingly one of the last to come across the lines right now to try to improve their time. Him as well as Nguyen's also abandoned his lap. And I think that's pretty much it for everyone trying to do a lap. Oh, except for Crazy, excuse me. Go ahead.
Yeah, Crazy here. It will be the last one, but he's a 10th down in Sector 2. He's going to keep pushing on now up towards Parabolica. He will be the last person now out on track as Bowie didn't make it, of course, so he will start from 8th place at the moment, 158, and all the 4s. But Crazy now making his way around the final corner, runs a bit wide, and I wonder if he's going to come back to the pits and abandon that lap, I wonder. Oh, he's going to carry on. So here he comes in towards the start finish line. Is this going to be enough to better his lap time? Is this going to be enough to get him further up the field? And I'm not entirely sure because it cut away, but no, it wasn't. So, Cypher, I'll let you go through the results.
Right now it is Red and Bekaratis locking out a Porsche 1-2, then the Aston Martin of Faster, who replacing Javier, as well as the Ginetta of Buzzing Hornet and Crazy to round out the top 5. Then Becerra, GTS's replacement, Nguyen's Slim Sign replacement, Bowie, Adam Crotha, and Joe Black round out the top 10. So then, as we look forward to Monza, we'll go through the grid and give you some driver stories. Red seemingly only content with the small podium effort at Oschersleben. This will be his chance to get back up the grid today. Bekaratis looking to put on another performance, but can he go on to maybe potentially run for a win? Faster, we know that he is actually really fast, so can he take the fight to the Porsches today? Buzzing Hornet just needs to get in a good race. He only had one chance, but this will be the next best chance. Crazy, a pretty good starting position, but he needs to finish good. He hasn't been able to do that so far in these last few races. Becerra, I haven't really seen too much from him, so it'll be interesting to see what he can do. Nguyen's also looking to just put in a really good performance as a replacement. Bowie starting really far down for last week's winner, but maybe he can make something happen. Adam also looking to rebound from a pretty disastrous week at Germany. And oh, we're already going straight to the start. So Joe Black, Schwami, Alex, Maxley, and Ryan starts at the back of the grid. But as it stands, it is Red on pole. And a green flag, and Red gets a really good start, and that is Faster, who also goes really well behind him. But meanwhile, further down the pack, they're around 3 wide, as that is Becerra and Hornet making a little bit of contact, although nothing too much, as they barrel down into turn 1. That is Adam near the back there, but it is Red holding station there, as it's a little bit of contact with Hornet, and that's Crazy, who's spun a little bit, and that's Ulster coming across the track to hit. Ooh, that was the red Porsche of, I believe, Becerra there, who got bogged down at the start there. So yeah, Becerra not getting a good start at all, has been bogged down by the other Janetta, and now it is Ryan being hounded by Joe Black there as they head into turn 3, and now going into turn 4, he's actually hounded by both Mustangs. Maxley there, they go side by side into turn 4. There's a little bit of contact behind them between Maxley and Ryan, or Bowie, excuse me. That's Ryan in front of them. But meanwhile, back up front, it is all Red from Faster, who has managed to take second place from Beckeratis, who did not get a good start at all. And meanwhile, it is Nguyen's, Adam Crowther, and Crazy behind them, followed by Schwami.
Yeah, and I'll tell you who it wasn't a great start for at all. Becerra finds himself now down to P12. And look at that buzzing Hornet as well, 13th place. Not great starts at all. They just got pulled up and turned.
Oh, they're 3 wide.
3 wide.
3 wide. Oh no, that's not going to work at all.
Well at all.
Ooh, that's a terrible incident.
The Mustang there just came across as if he didn't realise it was 3 wide. That was Maxley there, who was going to try and take the racing line for the next corner. Just seemingly didn't realise it was 3 wide.
Indeed, and Becerra coming out the worst of that. He didn't get a good start and was bogged down in a lot of traffic. Actually had to hold up for Crazy, who had done a little bit of half spin. But yeah, he's come out the worst, and that has a ton of damage, so he'll have to come in and replace and repair that car.
Yeah, and that will be frustrating to Becerra, because of course you want to do well when you're sort of in the replacements there, especially for Javier and GTS. We know how much of a formidable team they've been recently, and I don't think Javier would be too appreciative on the team standings to see Becerra down to 14th place. But after a nightmare first corner, Fraser, meanwhile, was caught up in that first lap incident. You said it should start further down because, you know, obviously you might prefer that, would probably be in less instance. Well, he managed to qualify up towards sort of 5th or 6th place, and actually came to a full stop, actually, out of turn 2. Still, though, he's in 6th place, so he's done a really good job there to recover to the position he was in before.
Indeed. Let's get the track map and speedometer to kind of see where everyone is. As behind them, that's Schwami defending from Ryan, as Alex is out of this race very early. I'm not really sure what happened to him, as it's Ryan going around the outside of Schwami, ambitious around the first Lesmo. They'll have to hold it together. Schwami will give him the space, and Ryan is up into 7th place now after starting in last place. But currently, as it stands, it is Red who is pulling a little bit of a gap from Faster, and then by extension Beckeratis. And meanwhile, Nguyen still holding station in 4th, takes a little bit of the grass, actually goes is a little bit squirmy going into a Scary.
Joe Black there really putting on the pressure on Schwami then. And so they now make their way all the way towards Parabolica, but we've also got to keep an eye on Fraser here, because he's got Crowther in front of him as they both head now towards Parabolica. That fast right-hander get banking here as well, as Crowther runs a little bit deep into the corner, runs wide completely, and this might be a good opportunity for Fraser to really put his foot down and try and out-drag his other car.
Yeah.
On spec, you would think. But look at this then, Fraser with the better exit out of the final corner. And you can see now, Crowther's actually coming back now towards the lower part of the straight then, but Fraser, can he hold on towards turn 1? Looks like he can. And in the end then, Fraser has got 5th position. And that was all for...
Sorry, I was going to say Hornet is in the pits for some reason.
And then he comes then, so...
Hornet, he was...
I
don't remember where he was running, but he's in the pits now, likely for some kind of repair. Not also a really unfortunate circumstance for him as well. We likely won't see pit stops this race. However, like Daytona, the field tends to reach very critical points for some of these cars with lower fuel intakes. Ooh, Schwami very far off in the background, as he was actually just overtaken by Joe not too long ago. So Hornet still in the pits, so it is some sort of a damage that he has sustained. And this Faster, who is disconnected from this race, so the second place car and also Javier's replacement has disconnected again for the second time that he has attempted to race. So once again, the HRT team, the red and yellow Aston Martins, will not be scoring good points here. And this is good news for Red and Beckeratis, who currently sit 1-2 right now in the white Porsches.
Yeah, no, they'll be loving that one. You never wish ill of your opponents, of course, but there'll be a silent jump for joy as they get closer into the team standings then, as we see Joe Black here just start to fall away from Ryan Ruby ahead of him as they head down, start from straight towards Rettifilo chicane. At the moment then, Red is in the lead. He's 6.1 ahead of Beckeratis here, and the two teammates will be hoping that they can get this to the end. Of course, we're only on lap 4. We've got a long, long way to go. Nguyen said up to third place with that Fasters disconnection. That moves Fraser up to 4th. Copa in 5th, with Ryan Ruby there in 6th. Joe Black, you can see as well, in 7th place. Then it's Barry there in 8th place. Schwami making his way through the Rettifilo chicane. He's in 9th place. Max Plead, who's coming to the pits, he is now in 10th place at the moment, but with some damage to the front end of that car, as he'll now make his way back towards pit lane. So Max Plead for the second time coming into the pits then, and it's a very, very slow pit, and that's Becerra.
Yeah, you just got it all wrong into, you've said this corner so many times.
Parabolica?
Yes, that.
Well, yeah, it looked like he just carried a little bit too much speed in, maybe caught the curb slightly, but yeah, a huge disappointment as well for Buzzin Hornet, who currently runs in 12th place. Of course, though, as long as you finish this race, you're going to get some points, and here comes the two Aston Martins now going side by side. This is Crater and Adam Crowther here as they head now down towards Ascari. Crater got the inside line there, managed to brake later, but you can see there, Crowther's not going to let this go. He's not going to let this go. That's what I'm trying to say here. But you can see behind him, Ryan Ruby is willing to take advantage of this with the bright lights of Joe Black in the background as well. He's letting them know he's there too. But again, the Aston Martins run side by side. The KTM is spoiled for choice with the slipstream as they all run now down towards Parabolica. And look at that then, Adam Crowther up to P4. Ryan Ruby using that slipstream, and he could try and use the inside line and the banking once again as we head through Parabolica down towards the start from this straight there.
Ooh, that's
and you can see now the straight line speed.
Nguyen's in the pits.
So you can see here now the KTM straight line speed. It'll really start to suffer down this straight then as the two Aston Martins now almost work together. KTM then tries to
that's Max Plead right in front of them. Ooh, they had to brake really hard there. That was that's crazy. Who was hit in the back of by Ryan. He had assumedly just stopped actually because Max Plead was just in front of them. So I believe there was a little bit of a chain reaction break there, because Max Plead was just in front of this group, and all of a sudden Crazy came to a stop and then was hit by Ryan, and that's allowed Adam to kind of get away from these guys. So heavy damage for the back of Ryan, for the front of Ryan, and heavy damage for the back of Crazy. And meanwhile, this has allowed Joe Black to get into 4th place. So as you can see, Bowie obviously very kind of angry at Max Plead there in the background. So definitely have some words there, but I was saying Nguyen's was in the pits, so I wonder if he has misfueled that car, because he was running relatively fine, but has had to come in to maybe get the fuel situation fixed on that car. But now as it stands, it is now Adam who sits on the precipice of a podium. Considering we have so many people out of the regular contention, This is some of these guys' best chance to get their first podium. Adam chasing his first podium, Joe chasing his first podium, and the best result for Mustang, and Ryan chasing another good finish like at Oschersleben. So it's really any one of these guys' game still.
Yeah, and this is the important thing as well. They know some of the top guys aren't here. As Adam Crowther runs wide through Parabolica once again. That's the second time he's done that this race. That allows Joe Black now up onto the podium, and Ryan Ruby here now right to the back of this Aston Martin, who shifts up early there as well, as they all run now down the start-finish straight towards the start, towards turn one. But you can see there the straight line speed of the KTM. This is where it will really suffer then. You really need to have a good exit out of Parabolica to take advantage here. But you can see there's the Aston Martin of Crowther really now trying to put the Mustang under pressure as they head through in towards turn two, now coming towards the curve at Grande. And well, Joe Black has seized on an opportunity here, and he'll be hoping to keep that advantage as long as he can.
Crazy also in the pits, likely for that damage with Bowie, although Bowie decides to stay out as now he's under, he's actually being caught up a little bit by Schwalbe behind him, but as it stands now, it is Adam looking on the back of Joe Black. So 3 different manufacturers going head to head here. Meanwhile, the 2 Porsches of Red and Beckeratis are leading this race, but it's very interesting racing from these guys here. It was kind of broken up a little bit, but it's kind of come back together now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Red is in the lead then, 11 seconds ahead of Beckeratis' teammate, and then sort of 12 seconds between this battle here. And the longer these guys battle, the more it favours the Porsches up ahead to try and get the maximum points. And Red will be hoping for another win in this season. It's Crowther then drives turn 9 a little bit then. That might cost him a little bit of time. Of course, has the straight line speed to make sure he can try to recover, but he's got to try and get Parabolica right. He's run wide there twice this race so far. He's got to try and get that breaking point right. He's got to try and...
meanwhile with the Hornet and Crazy are going side by side there. Actually, I think that was Crazy who had just come out of the pits, and Hornet, those two were kind of battling there. And Hornet currently does have the edge over Crazy, who just came out of the pits. So, meanwhile, back up front, it is Adam now who's kind of held stationary, actually. He isn't able to gain that much on Joe, however, the kind of top speed is keeping him ahead of Ryan behind him.
Yeah, at the moment then, Joe Black just has a job to do, and that's to stay ahead of Crowther, whatever it takes, because Crowther could run wide, and they're running side by side now, Crazy and Buzzing Hornet. Through turn 10 they go. They manage to keep it away from each other as well, as they now head all the way up to Parabolica, side by side here. And I wonder, this is going to be the test of the straight line speed. We know that the Ginetta does struggle in the straight line. As we now come up towards Parabolica, it's not showing any struggles here. As the Ginetta has to go round the outside here. Grazer here running door to door with the Ginetta as he now makes his way in towards 8th place. Great move from Buzzing Hornet there. He's now up to 8th place. Well, that is Noyens behind them as well, looking to try and take advantage. But Grazer here can use the slipstream of the Ginetta of Buzzing Hornet as they now run side by side once again down towards turn 1. Grazer on the outside, he'll have the inside for turn 2 if he can hold it there, braking as late as they possibly can. That's exactly what he's done to try and park it on the apex, and Grazer gets the move back done. So good racing between those two. Look who this has brought in as well. Noyens here is looking to try and take advantage of the Ginetta as they go through the curve at Grande now, as we head on to the 7th lap of this race.
Something's happened with Adam. He's lost quite a lot of time, actually. Yeah, he might have some damage. His car is pulling in. Yes, he does have some sort of damage there. He slightly missed it, but going into Ascari, he has hit something, and that has allowed Ryan and Bowie to overtake him.
Yeah, and that is not a healthy car. Bowie there has got some sort of penalty added to his name, so I wonder if Bowie was involved with that or whether that's a completely separate incident. Either way, it's left Crowther here with a very poorly car as he heads towards the pit lane then, so they'll have to repair that damage.
Meanwhile, back with Crazy and Hornet, they're still kind of battling as they're pushing each other pretty much near the wall here, as they will go side by side, although but Hornet decides the better of it to hold back into Ascari now. So once again, all these three kind of pulling each other along, though. I don't think either of them know who's the fastest of them at the moment.
Well, absolutely, but your one mind as a racist just to try and get past the car in front, whatever it takes at some point. As they head now towards Parabolic, you see Buzz and Hornet, they're braking later into Parabolica than Crazer. Look at this, look at the better exit he's got now, but he's got nowhere to put the car. As they now go round the outside, down the start-finish straight, then towards the start-finish line, and on the long run down towards turn 1. And both, of course, in the pit lane, so they'll both go off of the position here. But side by side, still they're running down this long straight, down towards turn 1. Crazer's got the inside line, that'll become the outside line, but he brakes earlier than Buzz and Hornet Hornet then puts himself into 7th place, that is now, with Crazer dropping to 8th place. Noyens here is just sitting back here and watching this battle develop.
Indeed. Meanwhile, the two orange KTMs, they currently sit 4th and 5th, meanwhile with Joe right in front of them. And then Schwami has moved up to 6th, so a lot of movement here as it's only lap 8. Ooh, that's Hornet going really wide there. That may allow Crazy to close up into the Lesmos, and he does decide to at least have a small peak there, although Hornet not flinching.
Yeah, you've got to be careful with those half-hearted moves. They can end in tears if you're not careful. But Hornet here picking up some grass, as does the Aston Martin of Crazer. As you get into that mindset of following the driver ahead, you can sometimes get lulled into the same lines they drive. As Crazer here in the slipstream, look how much he's closing as we head now towards Ascari through the right, left, right section. And Crazer got the inside line, mounts the curve there. Buzz and Hornet mounts the curve on the exit of turn number 8 there and manages to keep a hold of his position. But have a look for Noyens here, because he's really lurking in that background. He's in the slipstream of the Aston Martin, then the Aston pulls to the right hand side of the track as we see it. You can see the KTM there looking to try and get the slipstream as Crazer there runs in towards
Crazer's gone very far,
completely.
Yeah. And that has allowed Hornet to come back. Although Hornet's on the grass.
Really nippers up between those two, and look at this Noyens here. It's just using his head here. He's trying to stay out this battle, but just trying to poke him with a stick at the moment. That's all he wants to do. He's got one position there, has he, from the Ginetta? Well, that's the Ginetta not giving up of Hornet then as we head now down towards turn 1. He's got the inside line there, and I wonder if he's going to make the corner. I think he does. He manages to defend from Noyens behind, and that'll be frustrating for Noyens. He'll think that was a really good chance, but not this time around, as we see the two KTMs here very close with each other. I wonder if the team's going to let them battle.
Well, these wouldn't be the first two. These two have used some sort of team tactics in the past. That's pretty much why they got penalized in the first place. But see, ooh, that's Bowie kind of just, I don't know if he's just kind of making a sign for Ryan, but Ryan assumingly just letting him go there without too much issue there. Although Ryan does actually look back inside of Bowie, so I guess they are going to fight for this.
Absolutely, the team, I guess, have given them the instruction then you can race. As they head now down towards turn 1, Bowie in front of Ryan Ruby. Remember, Bowie has some sort of penalty. We won't know what it is just yet. But as they head now down towards turn 1, Bowie leads Ryan Ruby in that battle at 4th to place. Meanwhile, then Red there has just been setting good lap time after good lap time. His last lap time was a 1:56.7, so he's really just keeping in control of that car at the moment.
Meanwhile, back here, the battle still rages on as Noyens kind of keeps ahead of Crazy as they head down now to Parabolica. Although, last time I checked, was Crazy in front of these two? So somewhere Crazy's actually lost 7th place, and now it's Hornet in front. So these three definitely swapping positions quite a lot.
Yeah, absolutely, and it just shows you how hard they've been battling so far, as we see the two KTMs still battling for position then. And you can see pretty much on opposite parts of the circuit at the moment. We've got two good battles going on as Noyens there makes his way up into 8th place. So he'll be looking forward to that one. And the KTMs here of Bowie and Ryan Ruby running 4th and 5th at the moment. And you have to say, for the orange KTMs to be running 4th and 5th right now, considering that straight line speed deficit that they have, they're doing a good job at the moment.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the first time that these KTMs have subverted all expectations, but now it seems that with Bowie in front, they're actually going to try to lead a little bit of a train towards Joe Black there. Bowie seemingly the faster of the two at the moment, as he is able to pull away from Ryan a little bit, but Schwami just ever lingering in the back of these two, actually.
Absolutely, and Bowie seems to have just got himself a little bit of breathing space. He's gone 3/10 faster than his previous lap. So he's doing business here, but you can see Schwami in the background just trying to close this gap between the two KTMs there. We know the Porsche has a good straight line speed advantage. That's why Red leads from Gavra Racing. The two Porsches up front. It's been a nightmare start for Schwami, but we're not even halfway through this race yet. So for him, it's a good opportunity to get a recovery drive. What's the chances then of Schwami possibly getting a podium?
It's not impossible. I mean, it's only right there. Although he is setting pretty comparative lap times to these KTMs, I assume that might just be the overall speed that's allowing him to catch up to Ryan. And as I say that, he's pretty much on the back of them coming out through Sector 2, but the KTMs just kind of have more pace as Ryan runs a little bit wide. I was saying they kind of have a little bit more pace through Sector 2, but then again, Schwami is catching up a lot faster than we thought he would, as he has a huge slipstream on Ryan. Will he go to the right or left? He decides to go to the left, and he will most likely make that pass before Ascari. And indeed, that is Schwami into 5th place, seemingly with no effort at all, actually. Ooh, Ryan pretty much bounced the first curb heading in there, but Schwami is able to hold on to it.
Yeah, and I don't think Ryan Ruby is done with that battle just yet. He'll be right into the slipstream of the Porsche as they head up towards Parabolica. But the Porsche here, you can just see how much he's getting away already towards Parabolica. That is how much the KTMs are struggling with their top speed today. And I think it's going to be one of those races for the KTMs where they just can't challenge Schwami, at least down the straights.
Indeed. But Bowie was looking to kind of make inroads on Joe for a little bit there. However, he is more or less kind of stationed there, as that's Schwami already on the back of him. So Bowie going very slow compared to Schwami. I wonder if Bowie had some sort of penalty there, but they go side by side now into turn 1 there. They have to make room for each other, although Schwami looked to kind of go back inside, but Bowie cutting him off there. So Bowie slowing down very much has allowed Schwami to instantly close up to him. So this is Schwami's best chance to get a really good spot here, as Bowie looks to defend around the middle, as Bowie pretty much blocks him all the way to the inside a little bit. So Schwami decides to kind of back in now, although he's left himself very susceptible to Ryan. Schwami is now in the middle of the infamous KTM sandwich that we saw did not end well for Red at Silverstone. So Schwami will need to find a way past Bowie very quickly.
Yeah, and it's always just keeping your calm here. You could see now he's not going to let Schwami through that easily, as he defended as hard as he could there. Didn't force the Porsche off the road, he just simply slammed the door shut. So that was all fair game from Bowie then, as we hit a bit of curve Grande. As now they head up towards Ascari. Schwami knows here he's got the top speed, he knows he's got the slipstream. It's just a matter of time to get past the KTM ahead of him.
It only takes a slight mistake from Bowie to kind of get that run like he did on the front straight. You see, Joe's only just in front of them right around there, so this group is catching Joe a little bit, though it is Schwami who is pushing quite a bit to catch up to them.
It's all about the exit of Parabolica as well, as we now run all the way down the start of the straight. You'll see Bowie defending hard once again. He's surely not going to let this battle go without a fight then, and you can see then how much top speed that Porsche has, and already he's passed halfway down the straight as they head now towards the braking zone of the Rettifilo chicane. But that's the KTM who's going to try and go up the inside.
Dive it up there. Schwami
Porsche has the inside line.
Yeah, he kind of hit the curb there a little bit, a little argy-bargy there. However, it's still all fair game. By with a very late dive bomb there to the inside. Try to take position back from the Porsche, but with Schwami's good speed, I don't think he'll get a second chance at it.
He might have a look then to the Rogers chicane, but by that point he might be too far behind. But he's going to go for it anyway. He's going to have a look for it. But he backs out of it there. Just trying to put the Porsche under a little bit of pressure. And it looks like it's worked because the Porsche hasn't got a great exit out of the Rogers chicane. Here comes Bowie up the inside into the first Lesmo. They're running around side by side here. No contact between the two of them. Schwami onto the curb then as we head towards the second Lesmo. And Bowie with some driving there, but has put off the Porsche. Now finds himself back ahead. I wasn't expecting to call that one.
Well, meanwhile, Crazy and Nguyen's in the pits for some reason, so I wonder if an accident has occurred there. But meanwhile, Schwami is back on the outside of Bowie, looking into Ascari. Bowie is actually still there a little bit, as Schwami goes very wide into the dirt to kind of counteract that, and Ryan not going to waste any time. He's also looking on the inside of Schwami, pushing him a little bit there, so yeah, very coordinated tactics there by the KTMs to get past Schwami, although he's right there. Yeah, he's going to get right past Ryan coming into Parabolica. It's Ryan a little bit on the dirt.
Yeah, absolutely. It just shows you that straight line speed of Schwami. He didn't get Ascari right at all, but because of that engine, because of that top speed, he's able to just reel in the KTM halfway down the straight. Such is that straight line speed of the Porsche compared to the KTM. Schwami knows he's got another chance, and look how much speed difference there is then as we head towards turn one. Schwami thought about going up the inside, but thought second about it and stays behind Bowie for now. But I'll have a good one here through the Curva Grande, through turn three, help without banking and carry a little bit more speed. As that is Crowther and Grazer ahead of them, battling away. That is for position as Nguyen has left the session altogether, so that's a shame for him. But yeah, Crowther and Grazer battling away as we see then in the background Bowie trying to defend against Schwami once again in towards the Rogers chicane, and he's successfully done it. He's driving the widest KTM here at Monza.
Just looking, where has Ryan gone actually? I don't see him anymore. He's all the way back in turn one, so I didn't even notice where he went. There was so much action going on.
So he might have pitted in, I'm not entirely sure though, but you can see Roper and Crazer making their way now down towards Ascari chicane, and they're battling here. Might affect the battle behind them as well. The blue flags will be waiting for them soon, but not just yet. And this is Joe Black's chance to just try and basically drive away as far as he can from Bowie and Schwami behind him, because the longer they battle, the more time Joe Black gains on the both of them.
Indeed. We pretty much have right around half the field in kind of this one section alone. It's filled with both lap cars and lead lap cars. But Schwami goes pretty wide, actually has to brake a little bit, so will not get the overspeed on Bowie that he did before. So he'll have to wait another lap to try to make a move. Meanwhile, Crazy does get the overspeed on Adam to kind of look for a move around maybe the inside. No, he decides to cut back in line there. Schwami actually does find some semblance of speed there, though decides to back out at the last minute.
Yeah, you can see that Bowie was willing to defend that inside line, which is what made Schwami just sort of back out of it altogether then. So he's not willing to risk throwing his race away, which is a fair assumption, but he's got to try and find a way past Bowie, because the longer he keeps fighting here, the less and less chance that he has of finishing on the podium.
Yeah, there's a huge cluster of cars in front of them, lap cars and lead lap cars. Meanwhile, as these two go side by side again, Schwami around the outside. Ryan cuts back inside though, and is able to kind of go side by side. Meanwhile, that's Maxley in front of them. So, as Ryan kind of touches Schwami, go a little bit in there, as he has to slide all the way down to the inside to avoid Maxley there.
Well, these two still battling away. Meanwhile, Crowther and Fraser here still battling for position. Actually, that is Joe Black, who hasn't actually got away from these two, and that might be because they've got repaired cars, they've got fresher tyres, so they might be able to keep up through the corners. But yeah, Joe Black isn't getting away from those lap cars, and there you go. There's Bowie and Schwami coming through the picture just in the background there. You've got a good view of both battles here as they head up towards Parabolica. Will Fraser have a move up the inside? Looks like he's going to try it here. We're going to try and focus on this battle between the Porsche and the KTM. Both are going up towards...
Although Schwami might have run Ryan or Bowie a little bit uphill, although they are side by side, and Schwami will look to have a lot more speed coming out of Parabolica. And meanwhile, the two Astons in front of them go side by side, and they're actually catching up to Joe in front of them.
Yeah, that's Schwami's chance then. He knew as soon as he went side by side with the KTM, he's got a chance. He's got to try and defend the inside line then, because Bowie might have a go heading towards turn one here. But look at that then. Schwami, after all that battling, he's finally got away from it. But he's lost the back end instantly. And all that hard work he's just put in, he's got to do all over again.
I think it jinxed him.
A commentator's curse is real, actually. The two Aston Martins here. I wonder if Joe Black at some point is just going to let the two Aston Martins through here.
Oh, that's Adam who spun it in front of... Yeah, he spun it right in front of Crazy, so that solves that issue. Meanwhile, there goes Bowie and there goes Schwami there, so yeah, I think we're just jinxing these guys at this point.
I think so. I think for the rest of the race we just shouldn't commentate, because then we'll get to see some action without jinxing anyone, eh, Cypher?
Meanwhile, this will allow Crazy to stay in 8th places. Ooh, that's in the wall hard. That's Bowie in front of them. I think he was in the wall. Either that or he was on the grass there. I saw him make a hard left into the wall. But this has allowed Schwami to catch up instantaneously as he will look around the outside of Ascari. Although Bowie looking to fight back, heading into Ascari, and that Schwami runs very wide. He's taking the easy route through Ascari. But yeah, that was I think a little bit of oh, what's the word? A little bit of let's just call it a mistake from Ryan. Yeah, that, or not Ryan, Bowie.
Well, Schwami there just decided to go straight on instead of taking the chicane there. They are on lap 17. That is your race leader, Red there, making his way through the first Lesmo. We have 11 laps to go here in Italy, and it's been pretty comfortable for Red so far. Beccaratis is in 2nd place. It looks like to be a 1-2 for the two teammates, and they've been just having a very comfortable race right now. Joe Black, meanwhile, is in 3rd place. Meanwhile, Bowie and Schwami battling still over 4th place, and their battling has allowed Joe Black to just try and streak away. He's currently holding on to 3rd place in that Mustang, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that seems to be Joe Black's, could be one of his highest finishing positions of the season. We haven't looked back at Joe Black's season so far. 11th place in the standings.
This will be his highest, and it would be his first podium, but it's a long way to go as Schwami and Bowie now go side by side once again. So at this point, I wonder if Schwami's getting a little bit frustrated being held up for this long, considering he might actually have the speed to take the fight to Joe, but he's just been having so many issues.
Yeah, the problem is as well that he got the move done 2 laps ago in towards the Rettifilo chicane and then instantly lost the back end, and that will just add to the frustration. He knows he's quicker in a straight line, but Bowie has done everything he possibly can to make that KTM as wide as possible. There goes Schwami for the dummy then, hitting towards Ascari now. He's going to go up the inside. He's going to make that corner
he's going to go very wide.
Ooh,
yeah, he went very wide there. There was no way that was going to work. So yeah, Schwami just making desperate moves now, which he doesn't really have to. He just needs one of these good laps where he gets the slipstream and then he can pass on the straight, which he might be able to do here actually.
He's got the wider entry into the corner. That's going to allow him to build up the speed down the straight. Then you can see try and get into the slipstream of Bowie as they make their way down the start for the straight. Can Schwami finally get this move done and move over to the right hand side of the track then, and on the overspeed he's got it. but now he's got to keep the car under control. Now he's going to try and defend from Bowie. He plants that car in the middle of the circuit. He's prepared for this one this time, but can he make it through turn 2 with all 4 wheels spinning in the same direction? And that looks like so, but finally Schwami has got the move done. But could that be too little too late? He's now going to try to catch up to Joe Black, and the gap between them right now is around 8 seconds.
It might be too little too late as well. Well, we can't count out Bowie just yet because he is resilient and he does look to try to find a way to catch up to Schwami should he make up another mistake. Although, considering that he is pulling a gap on Bowie, this might be the last we see of that little fight there. Meanwhile, Joe Black is the one holding current station now in the podium. And you can see there is the gap in the distance.
Buzz and Hornet there running in 7th place, and that is Ryan Ruby running in 6th there. Keep an eye on that gap between the 2 drivers there. Looks like it's 4 seconds as Ryan Ruby is a little bit airborne there, 2 wheels in the air.
That's actually,
really pushing that car.
Yeah, that's Hornet actually closing in on Ryan, so not too far from now, and we actually have seemed to lost our position indicator, which is very, very weird. There it is.
I didn't press the wrong button, you did.
I didn't press anything.
Yeah, I know, I control the buttons, but you pressed the wrong ones.
This is what I have to work with. I get blamed for not doing anything. I make the verbal jokes and you comment on how bad my commentary is.
Well, I just comment on how bad the jokes are. Right then, in the lead then, lap 19. There are 9 laps to go then, 8 and a bit if you are picky. And he makes his way now towards the scar. Rebecca Ratters 28 seconds behind. And for the leaders then, it's been one of those races where they just have to keep their cool and keep their composure. Joe Black then in 3rd place, and he just has to get that car to the end, and that will be his best finish of the season. Still a long way to go, with Schwami looking to try and close that gap, and you can see now the gap between himself and Bowie now has really opened up. You can see how good of a job Bowie was doing at defending that position in the first place.
And meanwhile, just there it is, Hornet actually closing up really close actually. He's running quite a lot faster times than Ryan, so he will likely be gunning for 6 relatively quick. But I was about to say, yeah, as soon as Schwami was let free from Bowie, he's been putting in some very quick times actually. He's running pretty much, he's run just as fast, if not faster, than the leader's pace, so it'll be definitely interesting to see as he is closing the gap quite substantially, and we do still have roughly less than 10 laps to go.
Yeah, so if we keep that pace up, keep his mistakes to a minimum, keep consistency up, you can see Joe Black there making his way towards Parabolica, and that gap is coming down and down. The thing that Schwami can't afford to do is allow Bowie back into this battle. The moment he does that, the moment he's going to struggle again, so he's got to try and dispatch of Joe Black as quickly as he possibly can.
Indeed, this will be these 2 drivers' best, if not their only chance for a podium here this season with how the circumstances have fallen for them. So it'll definitely be one of these guys' first podium. We'll just have to see, as that's Bowie who actually lets Adam go there, so realizing that he's faster than him, just lets the Aston Martin go there. So you see the KTM's actually putting in times of around the 2 minutes, while the other cars are just able to put in times under the 2 minutes, so that gives you an indication of just how slower the KTM cars are around this track.
Well, Joe Black then is being reeled in by that Porsche as they both head now down towards the Roger chicane. How's your composure there, Joe Black, as that Porsche is closing in for Schwami then. He's had 2 second places this season already, and he wants to make it 3 podiums this season. Joe Black has never had a podium this season before, and he'll be wanting to try and defend it for his life then, as these guys have 8 laps to go. Well, there's 7 laps to go now for Red, who's in the lead of this one, as he makes his way now down towards the first couple of corners. Joe Black, though, looks like he's being reeled in. If you can get a camera, there it is, as he makes his way now towards Ascari. And Schwami is just getting closer and closer. He'll be seeing that Porsche in his rearview mirror, will Joe Black. And I wonder if the nerve will start to kick in.
I mean, it kicks in for anyone when you're going for your first, doesn't it? But Schwami just has the outright pace over him. If not, it was just a matter of time, I believe, once he was released from Bowie. But passing is one thing, actually. So we'll see if Schwami can actually do that.
Come down, we'll start finish straight. And you'll see now that engine of the Porsche, with the help of Slipstream, will be able to close on Joe Black down the straights. You can see there it's going to be a lot more difficult for Schwami down the straights. You can see that Joe Black is already covering the inside line, and he stopped the car in time then in towards turn one. Yes, he can, and it is able to park it on the apex. So quite clearly then, it's not the straights that seem to be troubling that Mustang. It seems to be the high-speed corners and maybe the low-speed corners as well. I think the car's not stable enough, but down the straights then, it looks like Joe Black's going to put up a little bit more of a battle than the KTMs did.
As they head now down through turn 3, Joe decides to block the inside line once again. Let's be careful though, because Schwami is looking to maybe cross him over a little bit if he gets the good speed, but he's not able to kind of make a move yet. Now going into the Lesmos of 1 and 2. Schwami taking it much deeper. Joe actually the car looked a little unstable through there, had to cut it back inside. So Schwami all over the back of Joe now as he keeps sliding the car a little bit, trying to keep ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see here, Joe Black wants to hold on to his podium, but how long can he do it? Schwami then in the slipstream of the Mustang as they both now head down towards Ascari. Side by side they go into the entrance of turn 8. Keep running side by side, then Joe Black just has the corner then and is able to stay ahead and stay in third place. But Schwami here, does he have the better exit out of Ascari then? Let's see if we can ride on board with Schwami later in this. As he looks to run in the slipstream once again, Joe Black is going to make Schwami go around the outside through Parabolica. And will Schwami have the grip there to try and do it? He actually slows the car down a bit earlier. He's looking to try and go for a little bit of a cutback here, carrying more speed through the exit of the corner. And you can see that with the slipstream that might just work, but that Ford Mustang is going to put up a battle down the straight for sure. It's got a better engine than the KTM, and you can see there Schwami is going to try and pull side by side now with the Mustang. Down towards turn 1 they go, and this is going to be a chance for Schwami to try and grab
later on the brakes.
Position.
Joe much later on the brakes than Schwami as they go side by side. Schwami on the dirt a little bit, has to kind of cut back. So it's now all to play for here with around 6 laps to go. And the spot is ever more important to these two than ever before. Meanwhile, Joe going defensive once more. Schwami is not quite side by side there. However, Schwami looking again to kind of cut back inside as Ryan now decides to pit. That will relieve Hornet into 6th place. Really good recovery drive from him. Yeah, Schwami just all over the back of the Mustang, but unlike the KTMs, although will he decide to go around the outside of the second Lesmo? No, decides to cut back inside, and Joe gets very loose off of that corner. Just putting his foot down a little too much, or a little too early there. It's allowed Schwami to kind of keep up with him there. Will he decide to make a move to the inside this time around? He will. So here they go into Ascari, side by side, Schwami and Joe. This time Schwami later on the brakes, although that might be because he ran wide. And then Joe with the cutback down to the inside. The battle still continues.
Absolutely, Schwami's doing everything he can to try and brake later, but he's got to try and make the corner first of all as they head now towards Parabolica. There you can see Bowie in the background, who's fallen away quite significantly with that straight line speed deficit. Schwami now trying to run around the outside to try and build speed through the banking now as he looks to try and get into the slipstream once again of the Mustang. He looks a little bit further back than he was last time around, but with that slipstream, that good straight line speed, he might have to pull further and further forward, closer to that Ford Mustang. Will he try a late move in towards turn 1? thinks, you know, he thinks better of it. And the Mustang of Joe Black runs a little bit deep then into
he runs
turn
very
one.
wide and actually makes a little bit of contact there with Schwami. And now they're side by side heading to turn 3. Schwami will have the preferred line though. So yeah, he will get in front of Joe right before turn 4.
Yeah, and that just looked like Joe Black then, just a little bit too late on the brakes, tried his best to recover the position. But Schwami then has 3rd place then. And well, it's been a performance where he's finally got to onto the podium, maybe slightly later than he thought he was going to do, maybe 10 laps later than he thought he was going to do, but he's finally onto that last step off the podium then. But we've already seen Schwami under pressure here. He has made a couple of mistakes. This isn't over just yet as Joe Black tries to get a good run out of the second Lesmo.
Yeah, the Mustang engine definitely keeping the pace here comparatively. I wonder if Schwami is just running a little bit less downforce actually, which is what's allowed him to get so much top speed. But Schwami still very much under heavy pressure from Joe. So this fight still isn't over yet, even though he's gotten past.
Heading up towards the Parabolica then for the 23rd time for these two. And you can see there Joe Black in that slipstream, but it doesn't look like he's closing. It looks like he's just about matched that speed. So Schwami here just has to get the corners right, try and break that slipstream between himself and the Mustang.
Joe actually got a much better entrance into Parabolica that time, was able to close up on Schwami, and is actually a lot closer than I'm sure even he anticipated. But yeah, like you said, he just doesn't seem to have the downforce that Schwami is running. He's able to just kind of keep ahead even with the slipstream, although that's not going to stop Joe from at least attempting a move around the outside. Joe cuts inside, but however Schwami is able to keep it in front. So Joe can still maybe look for a move, although he needs to be able to stay on the back of him, considering their speed is relatively equal.
You can see that Joe Black tried a little bit of a cutback there, but it didn't quite work. Quite get the acceleration he wanted, and Schwami is able to stay ahead for now as we head in towards the Rogers chicane. But then starting to fall away, is he out of the chicane? Well, he's still on the back of that Porsche. He's not giving up on this 3rd place whatsoever, and why wouldn't you? If this is your great chance to try and grab a podium, you would try and drag a car that's maybe not as good as the car ahead in a straight line, try and drag it up the field. Meanwhile then, Red has started in lap number 25, and that means we have 3 laps to go here in Italy, here at Monza. And they head now, Schwami and Joe Black, down towards turns 8, 9 and 10. And the battle for this last place on the podium continues.
Schwami took the curves a lot more aggressively than Joe, was able to build up a lot more speed through there. So just slowly Schwami is getting away from Joe, even though their times are relatively close together. So it is going to take a mistake for Joe to get back into this, because he's more like, oh, as I say that, Schwami actually runs very deep into Parabolica, actually has to the brakes there a tiny bit, and that has allowed Joe to at least catch up a tiny bit, although I suspect Schwami will get the overspeed down the front straight. As you can see, just not the kind of speed that he needs if he wants to overtake him. Although he will attempt to move around the outside. Getting into Rettifilio, Schwami blocks wide and then runs a little bit wide on exit. This has allowed Joe to kind of keep onto the outside there, although Schwami, anticipating it, was able to block the outside from a move there. Into turn 4, the gap widens just a little bit more as they come up on lap traffic of a Becerra there just in front of them.
Joe Black towards the end of this race is focusing on his lines then. The penultimate lap of the race started by Red there, and he is now on lap 26 out of 27. 2 laps to go for him then.
Oh, Schwami ran wide. That's allowed Joe to catch up really quickly there, although just not enough speed there. Although he will let down to the inside, Becerra will have to get out of the way as they run around 3 wide there momentarily. But will Joe Black try to send it into Ascari? He can't seem to do so. Schwami just gets the better traction around the outside.
Over now then, he rolls behind, but you can see this amount of pressure Joe Black is putting on Schwami. Schwami is definitely feeling the pressure as they both head onto the penultimate laps here. Not long left for Joe Black to put the pressure on, but it's already showing him the pressure is starting to work. He gets a little bit onto the curve himself. That's not going to help his exit, and his top speed is crucial. He has to stay with Schwami here in order to keep this pressure on.
Yeah, just in the last couple laps, Schwami is slowly getting away from him, even with some of the lap traffic. Although now he has his teammate of Maxley in front of him, as they will to rectify one more time. Joe Black quite late on the brakes compared to Schwami there. But now that Schwami, oh, he made another mistake by running wide out of the exit of 2. And once again, Joe will have another chance at him. However, you only have so many chances to get it done, as Red will come across to start his final lap relatively soon. That is the other Mustang of Max, but just in front of them, and he is essentially acting as a roadblock to Schwami there. Unintentional or maybe intentional, that's up to you to decide, but see there, the gap stays relatively the same.
I don't think that helped him at all, but Schwami running wide out of the first Lesmo as we head now down towards the second Lesmo. So back here taking it much smoother then. Red has started the final lap of the race, and we'll cut onto him very soon, but Joe Black here in the slipstream of Schwami then as we head towards turn 8 and towards Ascari. Schwami is really holding on to this position as best as he possibly can, and they head now towards turn 8 then.
Schwami on the curbs. Joe looking around the outside, although Schwami placed his car really well, and Joe decides to back out of it there. So if he decided to keep that going, he could have maybe mounted a run on the outside. Thinking better of it, thinking Schwami was going to come back inside. So these two coming now down to the final lap, decided for the final podium position. Schwami gets on the curb a little bit, his car snakes up, and Joe decides to go to the inside. He snakes up a little bit as well, and now they are side by side, now coming on to the final lap of Monza. Although Schwami just does have that incredible top speed there compared to the Mustang. He's going to try to move to the inside, prevent him from getting that slipstream. So now these are Joe Black's last chances to get Schwami to enter Retifilio now. Schwami takes the defensive line into turn 1. Schwami again going defensive into 2. Can't run wide here again. Doesn't actually, which allows Joe to kind of only stay there at the moment. But as it stands, it will be Red who will come across Parabolica right now. And it's been a dominant performance from him all day long, from pole to the victory. For Red, it will be his second win of the season here at Monza.
Flashes his lights there, weaves the car left and right. He knows he's done the job then. He'll cross the checkered flag and win here in Italy. Becaratis here is looking to try and make it a 1-2 finish then. He's already flashing his lights there, as that is KTM running very wide on the exit.
Oh, something's happened to Schwami. Joe's actually got back ahead of him.
Crucial moment then for the Mustang. So Schwami then has got to use that straight line speed all he can to try and close in on Joe Black, who's now coming towards Ascari. This looks like it could be a podium position for Joe Black then. Keep an eye on that mini-map as Becaratis here will come across the line to finish in second place then in the Porsche.
So yeah,
Joe Black has got to hold on.
No one was around him, so I suspect Schwami made a small mistake there, which had cost him the podium position. He is only right there, though. He's going to have to send it if he has any chance. Although will he decide to make such an audacious move? He only looks, but he can't get to that Mustang. And so on the last lap, seemingly Joe Black will actually make it to the line to score the first podium for Mustang here this season. And it will be Schwami in 4th for the other Porsche outfit.
Very close racing between them as well. as himself and Bowie, as that is a very damaged car in the middle of a start-finish straight there. And Buzzing Hornet then making his way around the final corners. There's Bowie coming across the line in 5th, and in what was an underpowered KTM, I think he's done a brilliant job there. Buzzing Hornet making his way now towards the line. He will grab 6th place then, and he's the last car, I believe, to finish on the lead lap of this one, as Ryan Ruby spins there out of turn 1, and that is the end of the race then. And Cypher, take us through the unofficial results.
So yes, Red is your official race winner, along with Becratis and Joe Black to round out the podium. Schwami is 4th, Bowie 5th, Hornet 6th, Ryan 7th, Crazy 8th, Adam 9th, and Maxley to round out your top 10. The disconnections being Faster, Aleds, and I believe Becerra as well, so they will not be scoring good points here as well. Very different looking outcome, considering that the Aston Martins did not play a factor in this race at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, we saw the KTM struggle. The Porsches had a really, really good time. And I have to say, the battle between Schwami and Bowie, and then Schwami and Joe Black, absolutely fantastic across pretty much half the race there. And the fact they kept it clean for so long, big credit to those drivers, as Bowie made his car the widest possible. As you saw there, he did get a penalty of 1 second for the incident, I believe, at the start of the race, actually.
So yes, it's been an incredible race here, to say the least, for all the manufacturers involved, actually.
Absolutely, and I think KTM can walk away from this race with their heads held high, because we doubted them heading into this race, or I doubted them, especially saying, oh, they haven't got the top speed there, but they come away with, I believe, 5th and 7th there, so not a bad day at the office for the KTMs. It could have been a whole lot worse for them.
Yeah, so as the Porsches celebrate their 1-2, we move on to next week as the championship gets ever closer to each other.
Absolutely, and the next round is at Brands Hatch next week. That's only up the road from me, Cypher, so I'm very, very much looking forward to it.
Agreed. So once again, I have been Cypher Knight 77.
And I've been Kieran McGinley.
And this has been Gavra Racing's GT4 series. We'll see you next week at the Brands Hatch. Have a good day.